Yeah.
Hey, welcome back, wrestling fans. It's Revisiting the Mania, our WrestleMania 10 rewatch. I am Carlos.
And I'm Maria.
And with us is Raymond from Our Pad TV and The Beer Pad. And also one of the creative writers of Raw vs. SmackDown, 2011, 2012? Or
No, I think it was before that.
was it? Okay.
I'll have to check IMDb.
Yeah, I think that's the
what I
last.
did it.
But-
Raymond, you're famous.
Yes, he wrote those interesting storylines for those Raw and SmackDown games.
Ooh.
If anybody wants to bust out some retro wrestling games, feel free to. Well, I'll put up the actual correct ones. I think I got it right on the first show on the actual years.
Sure.
Multi-talented.
I'll look now.
Yeah, you'll look it up now? Okay.
No, I'll look it up now while you're talking.
Okay. Maria.
Yes.
We have 10 years of WrestleMania magic that we are revisiting here.
That's right. WrestleMania 10.
Yes. So the year is 1994.
Yes. 1994. It's March 20th, 1994. And we are live at Madison Square Garden. Not us. Some.
Yeah, where it all began all those years ago.
Yeah, so I mean, I like that they go back to March 31st, 1985, like the original WrestleMania.
Mhm.
I mean, it was a brief kind of like throwback that they had, but still that was pretty cool because they show some highlights of where it all began, and I think that's pretty cool. It's brief but appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you have these like little flashbacks throughout the time here? But we get again on WrestleMania 9, we didn't get America the Beautiful. We didn't get a Star Spangled Banner. But in WrestleMania 10, Vince decides to bring it back to America the Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And he brings out Little Richard.
Yeah. Can we talk about the tagline?
Wait, that wasn't Johnny B. Bad?
No, it
That's a
wasn't.
good one. But the tagline is much like our tagline, and that's 10 years in the making. Yeah. So, like we said, the same venue, the first WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
So our commentators for this WrestleMania 10 are Vince McMahon, Jerry Lawler,
Mm-hmm.
Todd Pettingill.
Is the out in the field reporter. And I guess takes over for Mean Gene as doing those little interviews in between matches.
Right. Was Mean Gene in WCW at this point? I don't remember.
No, I don't think he was. But I know for sure Jim Ross was not brought back. This is we get Jim Ross doing the play-by-play, but at this point in time, he has that bout with cerebral palsy.
Oh.
Bell's palsy.
Bell palsy. Bell palsy. Sorry. And then he doesn't get his contract renewed.
What?
They only signed him for 1 year.
Wow.
This is many of the times when Vince is like, I don't want you. I don't need you. Goodbye. I'll take care of the commentary by myself.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so what do you guys think about Vince McMahon as the announcer? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you like, what?
I was never a fan of Vince as a play-by-play or as an announcer.
Same here, because it was pretty common knowledge at this point that he owned the company, but they were still pretending kayfabe was still a thing, but let's be serious. I did like Lawler, though, a lot.
Yeah.
As a heel commentator, and I also love that he's essentially wearing a cape and no shirt. So they look so stupid. Like you see his chest hair throughout the whole thing. But a lot of people that grew up with the Attitude Era, they know Lawler is this horny older man commentator.
Yes,
he make all these jokes, but he was really biting as a heel commentator, and this was great because we had a lot of the Harts. And he would go after the Hart's parents a lot, and it was hilarious.
Yeah. So, Maria, what did you think about when you first saw Jerry the King Lawler?
I mean, I really didn't have any opinions, just like Raymond mentioned, his outfit,
Yeah.
his biting commentary. His commentary was super spicy. And I was like, oh, maybe we're done with it after Bobby the Brain. But no, it's back. Like, oh, these comments are terrible.
Yeah.
But like you just mentioned, as far as America the Beautiful, we see Little Richard singing. He has a choir. That patriotic montage that we've been seeing, like what is it, 1 through 8 is back. I thought he did a great job sang with the choir. And just like you said, Ray, Little Richard was the inspiration for Mark Merrow's WCW persona, Johnny B. Bad. And he also had lyrics in his theme song saying he's as pretty as a picture. He just looks like Little Richard. So, yep.
That right.
And Mark Merrow's ex-wife went on to marry Brock Lesnar. So I think
What?
Sable.
she upgraded. She upgraded.
She got upgraded and got taken care of because Mark Merrill certainly wasn't going to do it.
Interesting.
So, especially with this wrestling. And then we actually have pre-match pyro.
That's right.
Yeah. This is one of the few times where Vince was like, money is no object, except for when it comes to talent. That's where the money. But and then we have no Howard Finkel to start off WrestleMania.
That could be the sads.
At first, I was like, I don't remember. I thought the Fink is actually in here, and then
he is later.
Well, he is later, but like to
surprise.
start off WrestleMania, I was like, what happened to the Fink?
Oh.
Well, I think it's because of the tie-in they had with one of their guests.
Yeah, with the Cy Sperling Hair Club for Men guy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
so one thing I noticed that you mentioned the fireworks, and I didn't realize how just a few years later their production would get way better. Like the fireworks looked good and all, but you can still see them on the ring. You see the guys setting them up and taking them away.
Yeah, I spot them when they do Leilani Kai's entrance.
Yeah, that looked really bad.
Yeah.
And maybe like 3 or 4 years later, their production just went up a giant level. So
wow.
I didn't realize that it was that bad at this time. Kind of nuts.
I wonder who Vince's pyro guy becomes.
We'll find out.
I'm not sure how
Maybe
that
never.
Information is actually something I can find, but yeah, we'll definitely.
We'll find out never.
This brings us here to our first match: Bret Hart versus Owen. Now, Maria, you've seen Bret Hart. You've seen him for a while since WrestleMania 2.
The Hitman. Yeah.
The Hitman Bret Hart. And this is his younger brother.
The Rocket.
I don't remember that Rocket nickname.
Yeah. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. And so now they're facing off each other because of the whole Owen is tired of living in Bret's shadow and he feels that he's better for them. And then we saw that whole thing come to a head when they're at Survivor Series.
Right.
And Bret's Owen is not accidentally knocked off the apron by Owen, who gets whipped into Bret.
Yes.
It's a weak bump. He kind of just elbows him, but Bret sells it pretty good. And then Owen gets eliminated in that Survivor Series match. And that starts off the whole thing.
And the only Hart, because the other brothers are there too. The 2 lesser known Hart brothers were in that Survivor Series.
I know that he came from like a family of 11, right? Or 12 they did? Okay.
I don't know. Stu and Helen. Is it Helen?
Yeah,
Hart?
Helen.
They were very busy.
Wrestling legacy.
There was nothing else to do.
Canada?
In Canada, in Toronto, Calgary, Alberta.
We but I mean, isn't a tag the brothers divided. I like that it's Hart versus Hart, but they're still wearing hot pink and black outfits, so they very much look like they could still be a tag team. What did you guys think about the match?
I thought it was legitimately great from the in-ring standpoint, but Lawler really helped make it on the commentary. Like he's like, I thought Stu would show up in his orthopedic tuxedo. Stuff like that is hilarious. And the way he'd heel it up and be like, see, Owen's the better wrestler. I knew it. And like just everything about this. I think there were 2 legitimately great matches on this card,
Yeah.
this being one of them. And then there's also a lot of garbage. So it was
Oh yeah.
really,
Yeah, you're right.
it was really all over the place here. But this was a great way to start things off,
Yeah.
especially because Bret was doing double duty on this
Yeah.
card.
Oh,
He
yeah.
had to do double duty because what happened is during the Royal Rumble, ever since Ric Flair won the title at the Royal Rumble, now they started this whole gimmick where whoever wins the Royal Rumble goes on to WrestleMania to face the champion.
Right.
In this previous year of the Royal Rumble in 1994, Bret and Lex Luger both are eliminated. They go over the top ropes, and they don't really show a good camera angle.
Okay.
But you're supposed to believe that they both landed at the same time, and so forth. So they both actually won.
Wow.
Apparently, play-by-play technology did not exist in 1994.
Oh, if it did, I'm sure they had the angle, but Vince probably saw.
Yeah, they didn't show it. Yeah,
so
it was kayfabe.
Yeah, so at that point, then because of this feud that's starting with Owen, they couldn't have the matches happen at the same time.
Okay.
So to give themselves so Bret wouldn't have a unfair advantage, Bret had to wrestle twice on that match.
Oh, okay. So that explains that. I did really enjoy that pile driver by, I'll go ahead and say it, the Rockets. He was actually my favorite wrestler in this match. So yeah, I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I do believe that Owen probably would have surpassed Bret if he had a little bit more longer time.
I think so.
I don't know if it would have been something that Vince actually would have done, but maybe if he actually had to like leave the company.
Well, like you guys mentioned, Hart was trained in his father's they call it the Hart Dungeon.
Yeah.
And he worked for his father's federation, Stampede Wrestling, and in England for Max Crabtree's joint promotions and matches that got broadcast on ITV's World of Sports.
Wow.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. As far as like his parents teaching, the kids how to wrestle. So that was pretty interesting and exciting to me to like find out about.
Yeah. What did you think about the way it just ends up ending?
I mean, I was fine with this. Also, I have to say that this was one of my favorite matches.
All right, all around favorite matches for everybody. Right. Yeah, I'm assuming yours is this one. You said 2 matches were
not my favorite.
Not your favorite though. Okay.
Yeah. And that's totally for biased reasons. This is just a great match and a great way to kick off a card. So
okay,
I love that it was first.
All right, good. And then Maria, you were rooting for who?
Owen.
Oh, you were rooting for Owens. Okay.
Yes.
So you have actually left Team Hitman and now
for the moment, yeah. I mean, that's Owen. I'm also a fan of Owen Wilson. So
they both have the big noses too. The funny noses.
Blonde hair. Yeah.
I haven't heard Owen say wow, so I can't be like they both say wow.
Wow.
That was a good match, guys. I never liked Bret too much. I appreciated how good he was in the ring. I thought his personality was boring.
Really?
And I loved when Austin is like, if you put an S in front of Hitman, that's exactly what I think of Bret
Hart. Ruthless.
Oh, and then we have the end of this match went 20 minutes and 21 seconds. Owen gets interviewed with Tom Pettingill in the back. Did that interview do anything for you, or like to help you like be more in Owen's corner that he is the one Hart that is better than Bret?
No, I mean I think I was more excited at the throwback to WrestleMania 1986. And like you all said, we got to see, what is it? Cy
Sperling.
That guy from the Hair Club for Men guy. Because we all saw those commercials growing up. I felt like they were just like everywhere.
Yeah.
And like Raymond mentions, we get a chance to see the Fink.
Yeah, he comes back.
And then the guy from Hair Club says, "My creation."
Yes.
And I'm like, what does he mean by that? So Carlos
like he made Frankenstein or something.
Yeah. The Fink is Cy Sperling's Frankenstein.
I was like, what is that? So with that takes us to match 2. And we get to see Bam Bam.
Yeah, Bam Bam Bigelow with Lunavachon and and then Doink the Clown with Dink that he just got from Santa. I believe that's where he gets them from.
Is that true? Is that what happened?
I missed that. A present.
Oh wow!
He unwraps them or something like that. I remember he just pops up.
Oh my! But this is a mixed tag team match. Clocks in at 6 minutes and 9 seconds.
Now, is it still a mixed tag team match if one of them's a little person and one of them's a woman? It's like
you don't know what the gender was under the dink makeup.
True.
That's true.
And I really like Bam Bam's costume. So what do you think? His costume? Not about his costume.
You were cheering for
yeah, I was rooting for
Bam Bam.
I was rooting for Bam Bam. He had super cool flames on his, what is it, a unitard or a leotard?
I think it's a unitard because you put it on. There's no seams or pants that you have to put it all at once.
Well, this is my first introduction to Dink as well, so I was excited to see him. What do you think about the match? I
thought it was okay. I mean, it wasn't really anything like to recommend.
Okay.
Unless you want to see Dink get splashed by Luna. I think he was supposed to avoid the both splashes, and he just still end up getting nailed by Luna on one of those. So there was nothing like that really impressed me here as far as like story wise or match wise, things like that. What about you, Raymond?
I hated it a lot.
Did you hate it? Why did you hate it?
Because I thought it was beneath both Bam Bam and Luna. Bam Bam is a phenomenal, one of the best big men ever. The things he can do for a guy that size, especially at that time, like nobody else was doing like cartwheels and moving that fast. So he was amazing. Wow. And Luna was adopted by a wrestling family, so she knew her way around the ring as well. And instead they have both of them wrestling clowns like this.
Wow.
I thought it was a waste of both of them. This match was beneath them.
Wow. Well, hey.
What did you think?
Well, I mean, now I mean,
don't let us influence you. If you like this match, I mean, you're the fresh pair of eyes that is watching this match.
Well, I mean, I don't know if y'all recall Doink slamming onto the mat, but it felt like it was so hard. I'm like, did this guy just like break his butt when he tried to do a leg drop on Bam Bam? And my favorite part is when Dink kicks Bam Bam. He's such a big guy, like you were saying. I was rooting for Bam Bam and Luna during this match.
Okay.
So I thought it was pretty cool. Thought Luna looked like she could have been from the cast of Mad Max. I mean, she looks amazing. The hair is super cool. Also at the end of the match, I like that Doink is embracing Dink, which I thought was super cute.
Yeah, and I am correct, right? That Dink was a present from Santa Claus that was given to Doink on the edition of Superstars of Wrestling that aired in November.
That's so stupid.
Wow.
Almost as bad as the gobbledygooker.
Oh, yeah.
It's at that level.
I mean, what did you all think about seeing Bill Clinton, since we thought this match was kind of a wash?
Who was that they had playing?
I can't find any information on who it actually was.
I do. I'll give it to you later.
Oh, did you? Okay. Woo. So it's not Bill Clinton.
It's not Bill Clinton.
Oh my God. I can't believe it.
Spoiler, if you plan on watching and revisiting this WrestleMania. Yes, I mean, we get a quick glimpse of WrestleMania 3 1986, which again, I'm loving the throwbacks.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan, pretty much Hulk Hogan versus Andre is the only thing they show.
Did I forget to ask you guys, would you recommend that people revisit this match?
The Doink one? No. It's only how many 6 minutes and 9 seconds. Just go ahead and skip it.
Okay, so we all say skip it. Okay, so with that said, on to match 3 with Randy Savage
versus Crush, who's no longer Hawaiian Crush. He's
Kona Crush.
Yeah. He's back to being like pseudo Demolition Crush because he's reunited with Mr. Fuji
in a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Yeah, and now why does this end up being where it's like you have to pin him outside of the ring, and then you have to get back into the ring. That
Yeah,
was the only thing that holds me back from actually recommending this, because that's not how Falls Count Anywhere matches are going now.
now,
You
yeah.
you basically just have your free roam around the stadium, and you only have one pinfall,
Okay.
and whoever gets the first pinfall wins. You don't do the one pinfall and then you have to get back in the ring in 60 seconds or else
Yeah,
you
that
lose.
rule was stupid. I think, and this is a guess, at the time the refs were older and not as athletic as the refs we have now.
Mm.
So maybe they couldn't follow the wrestlers around the arena to
Was this
work
Earl
with
that
them.
was doing this match?
I think it was Earl, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if he was capable even then.
Yeah, and that's what I was like, maybe. So,
But the rules were dumb.
Yeah. Because Maria's like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, this is supposed to be a Falls Count Anywhere match. I don't know why they're having it like this. And it seems like they were just making up the rules as they went along.
Well, I think it's funny that somebody says, they say Macho has to get back into the ring in 60 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the announcer says, I don't think he can get back in 60 minutes.
And that was the king.
I was like, what?
But the logic of the whole thing, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
I was going to ask you guys, does Macho know that this is going to be his last match with the WWS?
I believe he probably does know that it's going to be his last match, because as much as he's been like looking forward, from what I've read about his, like when I read up about Macho Man, that he's been like wanting to retire for the past couple of years.
Right.
And Vince is like, well, I need you and I'm going to make you a commentator.
Right.
And he didn't really want to be a commentator, even though he did do a great job at WrestleMania 9.
Right.
As I guess the color commentary, even though he was like not pro the heel, he was just like throwing out his own thoughts, kind of like 50-50-ish. But he just didn't want to do that. And I think maybe once he sees everyone leaving to WCW, he feels that he could get his own push there, which I believe he gets there first before Hogan does, right? Because Hogan takes like a whole little year off after his contract expires, and then he gets that.
Oh, that's right. He had the show.
He gets the Thunder in Paradise show, and that fails miserably.
Is that show like an actual show, or is it like reality TV or something?
No, it's a show where it's kind of like a bootleg Baywatch, if I remember correctly. But he's like, he's not like a lifeguard. He's like kind of like a Coast Guard or something like that, or I don't remember, like some random person who's patrolling the waters down in Florida and rescuing people randomly.
What was it, 1 season or 2?
It had to be 1 season. I'll look it up while we're talking about this. But Maria Savage versus Crush.
I mean, but before that, just tragedy. So WrestleMania 10 was the first edition of the event not to include Hulk Hogan. So if you guys miss Hulk Hogan, he wasn't in this, like you were talking about. And also, this is Randy Savage's last televised match for the company. So my heart was a little...
Televised or WrestleMania wise? I think he has one more match.
You're right. It's televised. So I was a little sad.
Okay, so the series concept of Thunder in Paradise follows the adventures of 2 ex-Navy SEALs, Randolph Hurricane Spencer and Martin Brubaker, who is Hulk Hogan and I guess Chris Lemon.
And the other guy.
Okay. Yeah, I could see him being some kind of like A-Team theme show.
Yeah, this only went 1 season. It actually made it to 22 episodes. I can't believe that.
Holy.
So let me ask you something about that match. Did you like the way that Savage won? Or didn't he like tie Crush's
Yeah, he
leg?
hogtied him and then hung him like he was a bounty hunter.
That was
So
really random.
that doesn't seem like a face way to win a match to me.
No, but I mean, I think throughout this whole career, Savage has always proven that he's like one of his characters as one of those gray characters that can either switch being the face to being the heel. And that was I think that's pretty much what like draws me to actually liking him, because he's like he has that capacity to like just switch, and whether like with not even with the crowd too, like if the crowd seems to boo him and not like him if he's facing somebody else, then he'll take on the persona of being the heel.
Question.
Yeah.
Just so I can, is his heel persona Macho King. Is that right? Or am I wrong?
It just depends on the writing.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
I
he's
mean,
good or
like
bad.
that was what Doyle was saying that we should have addressed him because that's how his character was in that WrestleMania 7.
Okay. I was just curious. Like, I'm like, is that like his, like Sasha Fierce or
Yeah, Sasha Fierce.
I gotta think of what my
Macho Fierce.
what's my heel name gonna be. But I thought it was a short match. It wasn't my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah.
But it was okay. So I'm rooting for Macho. I'm satisfied with the win.
Yeah.
But like Ray says, that whole like hog tie situation, I'm like that didn't add any value. So yeah.
Yeah, Macho Man did his best, and he actually made Crush look good in this match for the 9 minutes and 49 seconds that it goes until he loses.
Which is good because I really like Crush's surfer persona way better than this persona. So yep. That takes us to match 4.
Yeah, we're just well, first Todd is actually interviewing Bill Clinton.
Oh,
and I think at this point in time we realize that it is not Bill Clinton.
Not Bill Clinton. I was kind of excited when I was like, "Are you serious? Bill Clinton is in the audience?" And then it started coming together, and we're like, "This is not Bill Clinton."
Yeah, and IRS is over there lobbying for Bill Clinton to raise taxes.
IRS is the perfect persona to lobby for additional monies for any president. So, yeah.
So now we have our first women's match, or a match that involved a woman, because the last time we had one was that mixed tag team match with Macho Man and Sherry versus Sapphire and Dusty Rhodes.
How can we forget?
We're back to having women on a pay-per-view. These women are Alundra Blaze versus Leilani Kai. She's back. 10 years later, Leilani Kai is back. And she's no longer looking like she's Hawaiian, though. She looks like, to me, she looks like a bootleg moolah.
For the WWF Women's Championship.
3 minutes and 20 seconds.
What do you think about the match? That short 3-minute match.
Well, who are you rooting for?
Well, you want to know who I was rooting for? Can you guess?
Leilani?
No.
Oh.
Raymond, who were you rooting for?
I like, I still think of her as Medusa, Alundra. I think she's a great worker that was ahead of her time. They didn't really book good women's matches then. But the match wasn't much of anything. Leilani was pretty old at this point.
She was 34, Ray.
That's all she was.
Is that 34?
Yeah, I looked it up.
What?
She looked horrible for 34.
Yeah, I looked it up. I was like, how old is Leilani? And I'm like,
during this match?
Yeah, unless I did my math wrong, from 1994 to 1957. So,
I mean, wow, 34.
I saw the funny part to me was the commentary, which didn't make sense, but Lawler really went for it. He was playing. He was trying to pretend that Medusa
Leilani.
or that Alundra was unattractive.
He was trying.
And Leilani was the prettier one, but your eyes do not see that when you're watching this.
He was selling that. He's trying to.
Yeah,
I was not buying it.
But I love the heel effort from Lawler. I thought that was the best part of the match.
Yeah, he's trying to make this match into something that it really wasn't.
You're right. Yeah.
Didn't she win with a German?
Who?
Didn't she win with a German suplex?
Yeah, a German suplex bridge. Which I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm like, you don't win with that anymore.
No, there's a lot of these that like we've been watching the last 2 episodes where they don't end like how we're used to, you and I, Raymond, where they have a finisher or they have like this whole build up to multiple finishers, like the Super Cena years that we get now, where you have to put your finisher like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there was some point in WrestleMania where finishers just stopped working. So you had to do it like 5 times.
Wow.
I don't like that trend.
Yeah.
Neither do I.
I mean,
yeah. I'm like, if it's a finisher, then finish it, right?
That's how I always felt. But eventually, like, I think after this, finishers become more common. Because we see like the finishers are actually having more names. Like we'll get it later.
Like in the first match, they do the sharpshooter but they don't call it the sharpshooter. They just call it a hold, which I didn't even realize at the time that it didn't have a name at that time.
Yeah, and then like the Hitman does his side Russian leg sweep, and it's not called a side Russian leg sweep. And the first time he actually does it, like on a WrestleMania, that's not the Battle Royal. They call it a swinging neck breaker or something like that.
Sandman does it better when it was the white Russian leg sweep.
Wow.
Because he was a drunk. That was his gimmick.
So
I mean, I'm rooting for Alundra Blaze, and like
so
Raymond
you were happy with
yeah,
her?
like Raymond said, I thought she looked like Emma Frost from Marvel
Yeah.
Comics.
Oh, okay.
So I'm rooting for Alundra, and like you said early on, she gets fireworks, which Raymond thinks are terrible.
No, the fireworks themselves looked good.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I thought they looked pretty cool.
It's just like the setup where you see where it's obviously gonna happen. Like you see that as soon as she gets into the ring, and
you
it's
see the
probably
sparklers,
because,
you see the guy taking them away.
Yeah, when you see her getting into the ring, you see like that pedestal that's being held up here, and then like you know that the fireworks are coming there. But I think it's just the limitation of that particular stadium, the venue, because Madison Square Garden, the way they had that set up for them, like just for them, like they had the entryway right in front of the only place, because I guess the hard cam side, which is where the camera's fixed permanently.
Okay.
Maybe they didn't have a way for them, so they couldn't put it right in front of the cameras, so they had to put it there, but they had no other way. You can't put it too close to the audience. You can't put it too close to the entryway. And
otherwise, like,
and I think eventually they start putting it like where the scoreboard is being brought down, like where it's hanging, and then you just put the fireworks rings around there.
Yeah, I mean, Alundra, as far as a wrestler, she looks strong and she looks quick. So seeing her move during that match was pretty awesome. Would you all recommend that people revisit or watch this?
No.
Again? No. Yeah, I agree with you. I would also.
I think I enjoy her work more when Alundra becomes Medusa.
Which is spelled horribly, by the way.
How is it spelled?
Mad, M-A-D-U-S-A.
Mad-dusa?
That's not
that is terrible.
Not like we're traditionally known to M-E-D.
It's spelled like that way for trademark purposes. I get it, but it's still stupid.
I thought Medusa would be free.
I would think so too, like historically.
Yeah.
From Grecian times.
But when I first saw it in WCW on the ticker, I'm like, who is Mad USA?
You're like, who's mad at the USA now?
Yeah, you were talking about it earlier, but Jerry was being a jerk, and I wish Alundra would have tossed him out of the ring because I'm like, oh, boo.
So after the match is over, we get a shot of various WWF, I guess you could call them legacy.
Royalty?
I don't know if it's royalty.
Not royalty.
But legacy superstars. We get Classy Freddie Blassie in one shot. And then we have Nikolai. I think I'm missing one more guy, but I could be wrong. But we get Moolah and Mae Young all together watching the festivities.
Wow.
Oh yeah, didn't Lawler say something like Moolah's still alive?
Yeah.
Oh man, talking about zingers.
Yeah, I mean, I think Moolah is probably like 60 at this time.
Well, according to Ray's math, she was 150 years old.
She looked old as hell in WrestleMania 1. So.
How old was she? She was 36. Oh
yeah,
shit.
she was. And here we are.
I'm like, that is a rough 36. Woo.
I don't know because she trained Leilani, I think. So
yeah,
maybe
she trained Leilani.
Maybe their diet or something or their lifestyle just made them look horrible.
What could
if it's a Moolah lifestyle, like cigarettes and alcohol.
Yeah.
Like breakfast of champions.
Yeah, Moolah wasn't champion for 8+ years as a women's champion without those her own version of prayers and vitamins.
Ooh. So with that.
Yeah, and if I can get to the next match.
Match 6.
Yes. Which is menonamission, Mabel and Mo versus the tongue twister
The
Quebecers.
Yeah.
Quebecers, yeah. Like my mind sees it, but it still wants to read it differently, like quebecers or something.
My mind's telling me no, but
Yeah.
no, we won't.
So
And don't forget Oscar and
Oscar, the manager for Men on a Mission,
and Raven.
Is it?
That's his name.
Johnny Polo is Raven.
Oh, Johnny Polo was Raven.
Johnny Polo's character
and
was
he's
so
the one
bizarre to me. I just don't get it.
Yeah, so he's on the side of the Quebecers. And Maria, you seen Men on a Mission? You seen the Quebecers?
Yeah.
Who were you rooting for?
I mean, how can I not root for Men on a Mission, Mabel and Mo, when I am also a Mo? Given that moniker given to me by some of my closest and oldest friends. I like that Mo has Whoop There It Is on his wrestling gear, which I thought was pretty cool.
They both had that, right? Whoop There It Is on the airbrushed on their backs.
Yeah. I thought this was an excellent match. What do you guys think?
I thought it was okay.
What?
Like Mabel and Mo, especially Mabel. Wow. It was like I remember Mabel, which becomes Midian.
Viscera.
Yeah.
Same, both of them.
But I remember him more in the later years, like which maybe is like what 5 years from now, 94, 98, 99, when he has the Viscera and thing going. But he seems to be more active, more flexible, or more agile here. And just like I was impressed with Rikishi Fatu back in the previous WrestleMania, WrestleMania 9, I was actually impressed by Mabel on this one, because I was like, wow, I don't remember him actually like popping like that. And you seen that he carried Mo in this match. You don't think so? As a Mo?
I mean, as a Mo, did he physically carry him, do you mean? Or because we saw that a few times?
Yeah, Mo used Mabel physically to inflict harm on the Quebecers, but I felt like Mabel did most of the work here.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely a force to be reckoned with. I love when I think I'm not sure if it's Pierre or Jacques, but either one of them tosses either Pierre or Jacques at Mo, which I thought was like so crazy.
That was cool.
I thought it was super cool. The crowd is also chanting "Let's go Mo," and I love it. Also Pierre flips Mo, so I thought this was like a match full of action and super cool. Easily one of my favorite matches, and it's a must watch.
Oh, okay. So you have this as one of your recommended favorite matches. Okay. Raymond?
Yeah, I thought it was good too. I kind of disagree on Mabel though. I thought Mo did a pretty good job.
Okay.
He had some good moves. I like a lot of what's going on outside of this match too. I'm a big Raven fan, and he had some really garbage gimmicks before he became Raven. He was Scotty Flamingo in WCW.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And then here he's Johnny Polo, which was also a bad gimmick. There's a spot where Vince accidentally calls the Quebecers the Mounties.
Yes,
they did look like Mounties, though.
But yeah, they're still wearing their Mountie getup. So I'm like, why are they not? Why are they known as the Quebecers?
Yeah,
instead of the Mounties still. So
okay, I thought they look familiar.
Is it because Jacquesrougeau or no, Jacques was always in there, right? As a Mountie. It's the other guy Pierre,
who is still wrestling today, by the way.
What?
Yeah.
Is he wrestling for which company?
He's on the indies, but he is known as PCO.
PCO. Ooh, what does that stand for?
Pierre, I don't know what the C stands for, but his last name is Ouellette.
Yeah. Pierre Ouellette, so it's probably like his middle name.
When those guys, the Quebecers, flip Mabel,
right?
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, there were some pretty cool spots on this match, and they're a good contrast because obviously Men on a Mission had the size, and the Quebecers were a little bit better workers. Lawler had a great line, which also it didn't make sense, but it's funny. He said, I think I could get Men on a Mission to lose weight. Just show them a picture of a Lunder Blaze and they'll lose their appetite.
No way. That's terrible. awful.
Yeah, it is terrible, but it's funny and
It
it
was a good
fits in with the
one-liner.
heel work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it's still referencing the previous match,
Yeah.
Right.
and it's like telling how he still thinks that Alundra Blaze is ugly.
So I didn't ask. I mean, who are you rooting for during this match?
I think if I'm remembering back to my younger self, I probably was not even paying attention to this match.
Wow.
Yeah.
Raymond?
Same here. In retrospect, probably the Quebecers, but at the time I don't think I cared.
Okay.
Just because Mabel, when he would become heavier and less athletic,
Mm-hmm.
he would become one of those wrestlers that would hurt his opponents accidentally. And
Oh wow.
when you're that big, you can't, and you make a mistake, you could really hurt someone.
Yeah.
That's true.
And Pierre's middle name is Carl, so that's why
That's right.
Pierre Carl.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's why I was like, that's the Mabel, viscera that I remember mostly, not this version. That's why I seem more impressed,
right,
with the way that he's able to move and
that he could move at all.
Yeah. So,
wow,
because he's in the ring for a long time compared to Mo, but
right,
that's why I was like, I don't recommend that people go back and watch this match.
I do.
It's not one
I
of
think
my
it's worth
favorite matches.
watching.
You think
Yeah.
it's a worth watch? Okay, so
Yeah.
that's 2 out of 3.
Partially because everything aside from the first match was pretty much garbage until here. So
Yeah, I do admit that I was kind of like bored, like rewatching these, and this one kind of piqued me up, and that's why I was like, it got my interest once I seen like Mabel and Mo work together when they're doing those tag team tandem moves.
Yeah.
right.
And I was like, okay, it kind of like picked me back up, and I was like back into it. But
the match jerked you.
Kids,
I hope you're not watching.
I was like, should I say something?
But I'm okay. So you two guys recommended this is one of your favorite matches. Maria and Raymond just recommends it, so we'll go ahead and move around from here.
Well, yeah, like the menonamission win, and I'm satisfied with this win. Both of them did an excellent job. And this finishing move by Mo and Mabel is great and weird, and I love it. I mean, I think, like you said, Mo hops on top of Mabel, and it's just like a whole thing. So,
and you can see Raven before he discovered Nirvana. So
they should have discovered it by now. It's 94.
That's right.
Yeah, Kurt's already gone, I think, by this time.
Oh wow.
Or close to it, because he passes 90. Well, it doesn't really pass, but he's gone in 94. Like. So.
Right.
I mean, what did you guys think about seeing Donnie
Wahlberg in the next match?
Yeah,
so we get Donnie Wahlberg being announced and Rhonda Shear from Up All Night, USA's Up All Night. I actually remember those promos,
right?
Because I actually like watching the B movies that they used to show on USA when she was hosting those.
Oh, is that what that was? I don't remember what her
I was
whole
trying to
show
figure
was.
out who she was.
Yeah, so they would have this. There was one where they had this one, Mary Lou Goes to Prom was the movie, and it's basically like Mary Lou gets killed on the day of her prom, and then she comes back and haunts people. That's the one I remember. They probably had other movies, but that's the one movie I actually remember watching, and I actually enjoyed watching it. So
I don't recall. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
so then we have Donnie Wahlberg comes out, and I was like, hey, who's this a-hole coming out here with the hoop earring and kind of looks like
the guy from New Kids on the Block?
Yeah.
You guys didn't like to watch or listen to New Kids on the Block?
Why would I enjoy watching New Kids
Carlos was not hanging tough.
Y'all didn't have the pins on your jean jackets?
I don't even own a jean jacket now. Why would I own one back in the 90s?
You weren't that much of a fan where you'd collect all their names and put them on your jackets? That was
who are the other ones? Like, I don't remember any of their.
Was there a Ricky?
So long, I
remember a Ricky for some reason.
I feel like they also had a tour maybe just a few years ago too.
They did.
Which one was Lance Bass?
Lance Bass? No, he's not part of New Kids on the Block.
You're thinking 15 years in the future.
Yeah. When we talk Lance Bass, who is he part of? What group is it?
I don't know.
You know.
Is it NSYNC?
No, is it NSYNC? Who's the one that Justin Timberlake is a part of?
I just said it. Isn't it NSYNC?
Oh, okay, because they were just actually on an episode of Hot Ones.
Were they?
Yeah.
I missed that one. Then
Ray,
I
have you
only
ever
saw the
watched that
recent one.
show? Hot
They
Ones?
didn't they just release an album or a video or something?
Yeah, they're working again on the studio. They released like a little short of them in the studio getting back together.
Yeah,
So
that
this-
I'm not sure about, but they were on Hot Ones, and that was pretty fun. So
Timberlake is slumming it.
no,
Does he even remember like all their names? You're like, hey, you.
He just remembers Joey because he's the fat one.
Hey.
Ah.
Because it's his last name. It's like Fatone, but it's
Right.
you break it down. It's like that's the only way Justin remembers it.
he looked like he was not having that great of a time though, so it was kind of awkward. Unless I'm just like imagining that for him.
Probably. He probably is like, I can't believe I'm with these losers.
Oh my god, I like that Donnie is
I can't
like,
believe they're paying me this much money to be with these losers. Let me pretend I'm not enjoying it though.
instead of Donnie saying manager, he says manager, and it was like that Bostonian accent is coming out. You didn't hear that? No one caught it?
No, I missed that part.
Okay.
Maybe because I wasn't paying attention because it's Donnie Wahlberg.
Wow. Isn't he married to I can't
Is
think
that
of
the
her
one that's
name.
married to Jenny McCarthy?
Yeah, isn't it? Raymond? I feel like you would know.
Raymond would not know that.
No idea. I'm
You're
gonna look him up.
You're gonna look it up? Okay, you'll look
Okay.
it up while Raymond
He is
looking up.
married to Jenny McCarthy. Check that
Yeah.
out.
She was just on a show that I watched, and I recall her talking about them.
All right. Well, now that we got to that, we're
Aside
getting
from
to the
that.
match where we have Yokozuna
With Mr.
with
Fuji.
Jim Cornette, who's his American ambassador or his American manager or something
Yeah.
like that, and Mr. Fuji versus Lex Luger. Now, Raymond, I'm not sure if you see the banner, but we have Lex Luger facing off Yokozuna.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been bashing Lex Luger since the previous WrestleManias.
He has.
Was I wrong about Lex Luger?
No, I think he was a pretty average worker, but in
Mhm.
WCW, I mean, he was working with Flair in his prime, and Flair could carry anyone. He was really close friends with Sting, so, and I'll talk about this later, but when you're working with a close friend, it's easier to have a good match.
Mm-hmm.
For several reasons, but
Mhm.
yeah, he looks great. He's the kind of guy that Vince likes to push, but this was kind of that transitional era when you're getting away from the big muscular guys like Hogan and Warrior.
Yeah, because this is when I told you this is like kind of like building towards that whole trial that they were having for steroids.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that explains why Hulk was so skinny.
Yeah,
for a minute
Hulk
last-
Hogan.
I was like, what happened?
Yeah,
to
Hulk
him?
Hogan before the previous WrestleMania took like a year off on purpose so
Like that
he could
shirt
start
tear.
like slimming down and
Mhm.
look less like he's taking steroids. But I'm pretty sure he was, just like everyone else on the juice.
Right.
The juice is loose.
So Maria, you
Yeah.
seen these guys?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna say that you were a fan of Lex Luger.
I mean, how could you forget when, well, like we were saying, this is a singles match for the WWF Championship, but they also had Mr. Perfect as a special guest referee.
Right.
Yes, Mr. Perfect is back in a WrestleMania.
And not only
Still.
did he have the referee stripes, he had like referee Zubaz pants.
Yes, I couldn't remember the name of those pants. This is what that was, the Zubas.
When he first popped on, I'm like, why is he dressed like that?
Yeah, and then I'm like, he's the special guest referee. He's like, oh, I thought they were having like a 2-on-1 match or
I was
something
trying to
like
figure
that.
it out. I'm like, what is this? I'm rooting for Yoko.
Okay.
But then I see Lex and I'm like, how can I not root for sweaty Lex?
Sweaty Lex Luger, the Patriot.
Because his
Looking like an
outfit,
American Gladiator.
his outfit is disrespectful. He has the stars and stripes on his
Stripes on his
dong.
crotch,
He
yeah.
reminded me of that show, Gladiators.
The American Gladiator.
Yeah, and I talked about this before because I love it so much. But if you haven't watched a series on Netflix, watch that shit because it's really good,
No.
and they have some really fun animation. So, but I'm like, holy fitness. Lex, I know that you guys talk about him as a wrestler, but he looks amazing.
He does.
Yeah.
But like, let me say this: Yoko is equally as fit,
Mhm.
because he's in condition to pound. So, I'm like, he's moving back and forth and he has some really good moves and he's 589 pounds. So I'm like, damn.
That's
And
the quickest 589 pounds I've ever seen.
I mean, I
plus he's from that wrestling Anoa'i family, so
yes.
it is legendary. The thing that makes this match for me, I'm a big Jim Cornette fan. I don't always agree with his opinions, but I think he's one of the smartest minds in wrestling ever. And I think what he does now, I think, is hilarious, where he skewers people.
Yeah.
Wow.
He has a podcast.
Okay.
Before he was an announcer at Mid-South.
Yeah.
And then they had that whole collaboration with Mid-South, NWA, and WCCW, World Class Championship.
Yeah, he was a manager, especially with the Midnight Express. People know him from. He was a booker for a lot of territories. He used to book WWF's developmental, OVW.
Wow.
Just
a really sharp and smart guy. And
that's pretty interesting.
He does the best ad reads on his podcast. I think it's funny.
And I'm curious. You're going to have me take a listen.
To Jim Cornette's. Yeah.
What's that mattress company that sponsors like every podcast?
Lisa?
No, there's another one, Casper.
It's a sleep one. It's the one where there's
different sleep number.
Sleep number. So he's like, Sleep Number has a safety guarantee. So if you stay on this mattress, nothing bad will happen to you. I love when he does stuff like that. So I don't know why you would, if you buy this mattress, I don't know why you would ever leave it, because you're safe in the rest of your life. But he's hilarious.
Oh, that's funny.
So you're pro Yokozuna.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So Lex Luger is the only guy that we have seen body slam Yokozuna. So that didn't
that's right. Wasn't that on the Intrepid or something?
Yeah, that's when he becomes the Patriot Lex Luger. He takes off his narcissistic gimmick and wins over the Patriots or whatever. So that wasn't enough to sway you to Team Lex. Besides his physique, you were like, no, I'm still going to go with Yokozuna just because he's a very agile 589 Samoan man.
I mean, that man can move. And
and I don't remember him super kicking. Like when I'm thinking back of Yokozuna and he does his little super kick, and I never remember him doing that.
I thought all Samoan wrestlers have to do it. I thought it was like contractually obligated.
They're like, if you want to be in this family, you have to do this super kick no matter how big you are.
Yeah, or you're staying home. You're not going on camera.
I thought this was a good match. I enjoyed it. Mr. Perfect calls it. It wasn't.
Yeah, what'd you think about that finish?
It wasn't my favorite. What do you guys think about it?
I mean, if we have Mr. Perfect, who's primarily known as a heel wrestler.
But at the time, wasn't he face? Because I remember Lawler complaining that Lex rigged it, that he got the referee he wanted.
Maybe, but I think once I saw him, I know in WrestleMania 9, he was kind of like, the crowd was like on his side. So he was kind of like a face. And then he confronts Shawn Michaels in the back, or he actually hits Shawn Michaels in the back when he's going over there to follow. I forgot who he's following. Sorry about that. But then he ends up fighting him in SummerSlam, and they have a feud that continues on. But I'm just like, I guess, accustomed to Mr. Perfect being a heel. So I might have missed that whole thing where you mentioned that Jerry's like that, that Lex rigged it and they got the ref they wanted. Because I was just like, oh, it's a heel and the ending makes sense, where it's like Lex is getting into Kurt's face, Mr. Perfect's face, and then like he shoves him or he touches him.
Right.
And like it's a little delay. Yeah.
He had a point though.
No, he did.
I mean, it's for the booking. You could see it in retrospect that you needed. And plus, they needed to protect Lex because he was being pushed so hard at the time. So he couldn't lose outright to Yoko. But they needed Yoko in the final match with Bret. So
yes,
it's easy to see in retrospect. But at the time, I don't remember how I felt.
Would you recommend that people watch this match?
Yeah,
or would you?
I mean, a younger Yoko is it was something to watch. So
Yeah, he was. Yep. And what do you think, Carlos?
I think that it was kind of like, if you want to watch it just to see Yokozuna work, then watch it for that and just like to study him and just to, because we don't have any much more time with him because he passes the following year.
Well,
so we're limited unless we like are able to find the tapes for when he was in WCW, or it might be wrong where he was previously. We don't have that much video footage, but as a big man, as a guy who was like an unstoppable force, and and the way he was agile and was able to put over himself as a threat, as a physical threat, and things like that, working that type of character gimmick, it was pretty good. So like if you just want to go to like take some type of lessons, if you're like someone coming up or wants to get into the psychology of Yokozuna, or how to build yourself as a character of imposing proportions like him, that would be a reason why I would recommend you watch this. But it's like to see, like for you to see it as a fan, to be entertained, and just this, if you're barely coming up or growing up, excuse me, it's not like one of those notable matches where you're like, if you have to watch a Yokozuna match, you have to watch this one.
But like you said, it's definitely worth a watch or a rewatch. And with that takes us to match 8, numero 8, where Earthquake.
Oh yeah, getting back to my previous note, he was facing Mr. Perfect was facing Lex Luger. I wanted to say Lex Luger, but I wasn't sure. And I should have remembered it because Mr. Perfect botches the interview with Mean Gene, where he combines Lex and the narcissist together. He's like, he's coming off like some type of Lexorcist.
That's right.
That's like your favorite.
I don't know.
I feel like I've said like we've heard Lexorcist.
Hey, that is a great line. So,
like so many times.
The Lexorcist, yeah. So that's why we had this whole little change. So yeah, the crowd wasn't happy because we got the bullshit chants that come out at the end.
Right.
So well, I mean, I read about why not Jim Ross, but why they booked it that way. That they didn't want to have two faces going off on each other.
They didn't do at the time, that wasn't their thing.
So. Yeah, you still like ever since like I think WrestleMania 4. No, 5. That's when the Mega 4 is when Savage wins. 5 is the Mega. WrestleMania 6, where they have the Ultimate Warrior and Hogan. They're technically two faces, and that Ultimate Warrior never really recovered that much. From facing Hogan, because Hogan was super over and like white hot and things like that. So they tried to avoid doing that, putting the two faces against each other. So. Next match.
Okay.
Now that I got my thought out about the Lexorcist. Earthquake versus Atom Bomb. This match goes 35 seconds.
Okay, I will have a long story after we talk about the match about Atom Bomb. Not a long story, but a story.
Okay, because hopefully it'll be longer than this 35-second match where we get Harvey Whippleman starts off in the ring and he starts berating the Fink, and the Fink pushes Harvey down, and then Adam gets a hold of the Fink, and that's when the Earthquake comes in for the save. He does his belly to belly slam and then the power slam and throws his temper tantrum, and then he gives him a his Earthquake splash, and then win for the Earthquake. Maria?
Me?
I'm sure you probably were rooting for Earthquake.
I was rooting for Earthquake, and watch it. It's 35 seconds. I like that Earthquake carries Adam like a baby.
He does.
And
Adam Bomb is not like some little slouch. He's like a very tall man.
He definitely is. Also, just a few of Adam's other monikers. Adam Bomb, like we said. Brian Clark, the Night Stalker, which is a little creepy, and Wrath.
Wasn't that a game, the Night Stalker? I kind of remember that.
Yeah, so I say watch it. It's
I may be confusing it with Dark Stalkers.
Too short for you to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, right?
By the time you make it there, the next match is starting. But Raymond, what's your story?
Well, wait. Question for Maria. You watched Young Rock?
Yes.
So Harvey Whippleman is downtown Bruno.
Remember I told you when he first gets introduced like 2 WrestleManias ago?
Yeah.
Harvey Whippleman with I forget who he's with, but I'm like, he's the one that
Yeah, that's I'm looking up for him,
when he's
driving
at a-
him to and from.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's where I'm like, when I made those connections of both of them, it's really nice to see him like, like in person, live, and part of WrestleMania. Yes. Why? Tell us.
I don't know. So Adam Baum, or at the time Wrath,
Yeah.
he was the first professional wrestler I met as an adult, I believe.
No. You met him in an indie?
No, I met him at an E3 event in Atlanta where they had a bunch of journalists to a wrestling show at the Omni, and they had a lot of the B-level wrestlers hanging out with us. And I was still a mark at the time, so I had like the Sting shirt with the scorpion. And I don't know if he was sad or drunk or high or something. But Wrath is like, look at you, man, with your Sting shirt. There ain't never gonna be no Wrath shirt. And he just sounded so sad. And then I didn't know what to say. I'm like, yes, there will, man. And I'll wear one. I was totally lying.
Wow.
I was like, you're gonna buy his stupid shirt.
Wrath, if you're watching
or listening,
Raymond is still working to buy that shirt. So if you ever decide to make that shirt at Pro Wrestling Tees, we will make sure that Raymond gets it and wears it.
Would you wear it?
Sure, now it's like, I can say I wasn't lying, even though at the time I totally was.
Now, were you also high or drunk at this event?
No.
I was definitely drinking. I don't know if I was drunk yet, but probably not. I was probably buzzed.
Oh my god. I just can imagine you saying that though. You're like, yes, there will be, and I'll wear it.
But yeah, I didn't know what to say because he's a tall dude. So I'm like, this tall, giant, sad man is complaining that he won't have a shirt. What the hell am I supposed to say?
Can I make one?
Yeah, well, now he can make one. Maybe he can get a hold of Colt, and Colt can give him a good deal.
Wow.
I wonder what he does.
I don't know. Maybe we'll reach out to him and be like, hey, this guy still wants to wear your shirt, Wrath. Where are you?
Yeah.
All right. So now we get to probably what I can predict is one of Raymond's favorite and recommended matches.
Absolutely.
The first ladder match. And I believe I can be bold as to say the best singles ladder match. I haven't seen any ladder match as far as a one-on-one goes that could top this, but Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, with his bodyguard, Diesel. Right. This match goes 18 minutes, 47 seconds. Maria,
yes,
you were a fan of Razor Ramon, and you have been a fan of Shawn Michaels.
Yes.
What did you think?
Well, I mean, first of all, that toothpick stick that he has, the super, like, I'm like, not only does he have one toothpick, he has two. And I'm like, why don't people walk around with toothpicks anymore?
Maybe because they're afraid you're gonna swallow them.
That's true. And then I was just like really excited about this match because Shawn Michaels flips Razor out of the ring and he misses the mat. And then seeing Razor Ramon get wrecked with that ladder was not on my wrestling agenda, but it was pretty awesome.
And there's great use of the ladder.
Yeah,
I know my wife was a fan of the wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah, what did you think of Shawn's ass?
I was like, thank you. I didn't know I was going to see that, but I'm here for it. Definitely recommend that you watch it.
You watch his ass or you watch this match?
You watch both.
Right. So technically, this wasn't the first ladder match, televised ladder match for WWE. Right. Bret and Shawn had one in '92, but it was pretty low key. So this was the first major one. They had a ladder match
before this one?
Well, yeah. But it wasn't like a WrestleMania one.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they workshopped this at house shows, Razor and Shawn, to get all the spots right.
Wow.
But
I thought this was like the first one ever.
Not a WrestleMania.
But that's really cool.
I think they go back to the 70s where in Calgary Stampede they were doing them, but
Mhm.
everyone thought it was too like violent and shticky, and so this was the first one at a major televised event.
Do you know
And
where there were 2 belts? I was kind of curious.
yeah, so at the time, and I might be misremembering this, but I'm
I
like,
have it pulled up, so whatever you don't
you
misremember, I'll
can
fill it
correct
in.
me.
Yeah.
So Sean had gotten his ass kicked by a bunch of Marines in a bar,
Mm.
and they legitimately beat the hell out of him. So he had to take time off.
hmm
And WWE's like, hey, we need the belt back. And Sean was like, no, because that's just how he was at the time. He was a kind of an out of control egomaniac on drugs
Wow.
And alcohol.
and alcohol. But it worked out in their favor. So they ended up giving Razor the belt in the storyline. And when
Mhm.
Sean came back, they had 2 legitimate claims to the belt, which led to this match. Is that right, Carlos?
Yeah, Razor Ramon beats Rick Martel like in a battle royal that they have on taping of Raw, and then that's when Razor gets crowned as the Intercontinental Championship because the
Right.
title was vacated because Sean, according to the kayfabe story, was unable to defend the title within 30 days, which is something that they stipulate a champion must do.
But it was the
So-
Marine thing. Was that put him
Yeah,
out? Was that okay?
that's accurate. Yeah. So
Mm.
That's
because of-
that's an example of his ego, or you don't pick a fight with Marine. That's just dumb.
Oh.
so
I'm like, who I? Wait, is that
So
what-
when Sean comes back at Survivor Series, he claims that he's still the champion,
Right.
and because he's never been, and it got to the point where they both have to meet. So I think they were trying to do this at AEW with CM Punk and MJF.
Did it work?
No,
Well,
because
no,
Phil
he
got
got
himself fired.
Oh shoot!
I
Did he never hired somewhere else, or
No.
I've been trying to follow on Twitter here and there.
No,
I
I
would.
mean,
he might. Everyone
I
wants
am
him
like
to come
ex-
back.
Oh, okay.
Survivor Series is in your town, right? In Chicago.
Yeah, I just don't like going to the Allstate
Yeah.
Arena.
I mean, it is a distance and it is kind of packed, but
Yeah. We had a rough time getting out of the United Center when we went to go see Dave Chappelle.
yeah,
Oh,
that's true.
And those are bigger parking lots. There's like a lot more parking lots for the United Center than the Allstate.
Have we been
Yeah.
to the Allstate for wrestling though? I feel like
we
we
haven't
have.
we haven't gone since we went to NXT.
Okay.
I
Where we
went
saw
to
D Wyatt.
what's the suburb? Rosemont.
Yeah, Rosemont.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a WWE thing there. Was there a WrestleMania there? There's
Yeah,
something
I
there.
don't remember which one, but there
Yeah.
hasn't been a WrestleMania for years and
They
years
also
and
have
years.
Comic Cons there, so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, your friend, what was that guy's name? I'm blanking on it. The guy who's a 49ers fan.
Jose Fubar.
Jose, yeah,
Yeah.
Fubar was over here. I seen him when I follow him on Twitter. He was here
Oh,
for
nice.
like some sporting like memorabilia collection event like a month
Oh,
ago or
wow.
something like that.
Mm.
Wow, I didn't even know that. I should pay attention to his Twitter or something.
What a friend.
Hey, don't say that out loud, Raymond. WrestleMania 22 was the last WrestleMania in Chicago.
I was at that one.
Oh, is that the one you were at?
I went from like 18 to 23 or something, or 24.
wow.
Oh, you had a good run.
Yeah.
We'll get to
but-
that eventually.
Yeah, but this match, I'd never seen a ladder match before. at
Yeah,
all.
I had never seen one either. So
And
this was like,
This was
Go ahead.
amazing to me. I'm like, I can't believe what I'm seeing here. I've never, and I'm sure things like this have happened before, but I'd never seen anything like this, and it was just beyond anything I thought a wrestling match could be.
Oh yeah.
mhm.
And part of it, I didn't know at the time, but Razor and Sean and Diesel, they're super close in real life.
Yeah, that's what Carlos was telling me, that they're really good friends. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
So when you're working a match with someone like that, you're working harder to make the match better, but also to protect your friend and make everything look good. And for someone like Sean, who by his own admission at the time was a raging egomaniac, the best matches he would get were working with Diesel and Razor. Weirdly Bret, because they just always had this unusual chemistry, even though they hated each other for a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But this was just such a pivotal moment as a Shawn Michaels fan, and for
Mhm.
wrestling in general, because as Carlos was talking about, they were moving away from the steroid era and those big guys. They gave Bret the belt in like 92. Is that when he
Yeah, the
first got
first
it?
yeah.
And it wasn't quite getting a big reaction, or at least I don't think so. You know,
Mhm.
and at the time, I wasn't sure that Shawn, I thought he was like intercontinental level. That was his ceiling. But this match was like, wow, they could give this guy the world championship. He's that good. And I didn't know Razor or Shawn were this good. And yeah, I thought this was one of the most amazing things I've seen at the time. And there's so many funny things about this match. Like these days, there's all kinds of stuff under the ring. There's like 12 ladders, a dozen kendo sticks for reasons, you know. And this match may look quaint compared to the tables, ladders, and chairs things we've seen from Edge and Christian, the Hardys, but I thought this was so groundbreaking. And the funny thing is, they only had that one ladder.
Yeah.
So if it broke, they were kind of like, well, hey,
It almost got to that point because it gets twisted.
Yeah. So they do a thing where, and on WWE.com or their YouTube, where an older Shawn and Razor are watching the match and doing commentary on it, and they're like, yeah, if that ladder broke, we'd still be there looking up at the belt. But that's maybe, so funny.
Maybe they would have had it where Shawn tries to get on Razor's shoulders to try to grab.
But yeah, I mean, because it was so uncommon at the time that you didn't think we should probably have a spare ladder in case something goes wrong. But
yeah, they eventually get the spare ladders, and they get short ladders and super long ladders, and
they had the rematch of this at SummerSlam, and Vince was like, "Oh my God, there's a second ladder!" Like that was amazing.
Like the manufacturer gave us another ladder.
He thought it's a surprise. It's hilarious. Yeah. But like you said, this match is super awesome. That Razor flips Shawn off the top of the ladder, which I thought was like incredible.
There's lots of good spots.
There's, I mean, this is wrestling magic, and matches like this are where memories are made, because it was a really good match. It was really awesome.
Yeah. Did you like the way it finished?
Yeah, I'm like, can we take a moment to appreciate the momentum that these two gentlemen have? I mean, it's like 18 minutes, 47 seconds.
Yeah.
And they're just at it back and forth with this ladder. I mean, it's incredible, the momentum that it takes just to do half of the things that they were doing, and then adding a ladder to it. I mean, it's just really good.
A very great use of the ladder by both people, especially Shawn, using the ladder not only to do like a splash, but also using the ladder to do like when Razor holds it on the outside, he does a baseball slide into the ladder,
which is cool.
It's just a common spot that we all see all the time now.
But at the time, did you see anything like that, Carlos?
No, I didn't. This is like just like you. This is my first time that I would have been seeing a ladder match. So
we're we're young marks. We're like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
But it still holds up, because even now I'm still
still
impressed with the way like the match flows. As far as
Maria's right. The pacing was just so hard to do, and I mean, they were at the time they were so young and athletic that they could do that. And that famous shot of Shawn doing the splash from the ladder.
Yeah,
it's funny. Razor's like, I make so much money signing autographs on this picture, and most people don't know that I won this damn match.
That is
Rest
really
in peace,
funny.
Razor.
Yeah, that's true. Rest in peace. Oof.
So
actually, there's a lot of Luna's not with us anymore.
Yeah,
Owen, of course.
Owen
she had to. I always tell her not to look when she's looking at histories of the wrestlers, and that would fill her in.
When I was watching that Owen and Bret match, I was crying. I just started to cry because I'm like, oh, how heartbreaking that this man passed away. One, in the way that he did. Two, that he was so young when he passed away, wife and children, and even it was just like, I was just crying. I was like, oh, so sad.
And
I was like,
he was like pretty much universally loved by the locker room.
Yeah,
he was known as a lot of the guys like to go to strip clubs or drink,
Right.
but he was a family man. He'd always, watch a movie and go hang out in his room.
Correct
But he
me
was
if I'm wrong, but it seems like Bret was also the same type of guy.
he was not as likable as
Yeah.
his
Okay.
brother.
But it
And
seemed
part
like
of the
he's-
reason is
Go ahead.
Owen was known as a great prankster. They called him
Mm.
Ribs in the locker room. And
Oh.
there's a great one that I know from video games where they were doing VO when Acclaim did the WWE games.
Mhm.
Okay.
So he was tight with Davey Boy,
Hmm.
and they had to do their VO recordings at the Acclaim studio. And Owen was telling him, was like, hey, you have to feed him his lines slowly because he can't read. And they're talking to Davey like he's stupid and trying to feed him slowly. And Davey's like getting angrier and angrier. He's like, why are you guys talking to me like an idiot? And then all of a sudden Owen's just like cracking up.
That's a good one.
So he would do stuff like that. When they would wrestle in Kansas City, they'd always go to Harley Race's house and he would cook this famous chili.
Wow.
And then Owen poured like a bottle of hot sauce into it and didn't tell anyone. And Harley got so pissed at him. He was like chasing around that. So that's the kind of guy that Owen was. And yeah, he was just by all the stories I've heard, he was just a lovely guy.
Yeah. I remember watching that where he has that tragic fall.
Yeah.
I was like,
I thought it was a part of the show at the time.
yeah, me too. And then I was like, it took him a good while to like clean up everything. Like,
yeah, when they cut away from the ring, that's when I'm like, something's not.
And I was
correct.
like, they actually gave me a refund on that pay-per-view too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was because I was on the military. Like I was on post, and I guess a lot of people complained. I didn't complain, but a lot of people complained, and then I ended up getting like credited for that one.
That's like just the whole story of everything that happened. Super tragic, super crazy. And Ray, thanks for shedding light on those stories because I think that's part of the thing for me. Not only just like, okay, we're seeing these wrestlers in the ring, but also hearing their backstories.
Yeah.
And then how they came to these careers. So that's been like really, really interesting for me. And with that, does that take us to?
I guess it takes us to the main event, where we get another break of the action to introduce our guest timekeeper of Beverly Hills 90210 fame, Jenny Garth.
Oh, I forgot.
And being escorted by
Turd Ferguson.
Not Turd Ferguson, but Burt Reynolds.
I don't know. I saw in Celebrity Jeopardy, his name is Turd Ferguson.
Oh my goodness.
Guy with the giant cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Hat's funny.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a magical skit.
Oh yeah.
It's funny because my mom actually used to tell my grandfather that my father reminded her of Burt Reynolds, and for some reason he hated that. So that's just a memory that popped up for me. I don't know why my grandpa used to get so upset. So go on.
So, and then we get introduced to our special guest referee, Rowdy Piper.
Yeah.
Who comes out in his normal street clothes. He has no type of clothing that denotes that he is going to be a referee. It's just him in his jeans and the shirt that says "No Fear" and has it has a logo of the Tasmanian Devil wearing a Piper-esque costume in the back. So this one we have Bret Hart versus Yokozuna, who still has Jim Cornette as his American whatever, and Mr. Fuji. This match lasts 10 minutes and 38 seconds. Maria?
Yes.
You were rooting for Yokozuna?
Yeah.
And now we have Bret Hart, who you weren't rooting for when he was facing his brother Owen.
True.
Who are you rooting for in this match?
I mean, before the match, we get to see Bret wrestling as a kid and through his career, which was cool. The same thing for Yoko. We get to see some of his matches, which I thought was like a nice touch. I was rooting for Bret.
Okay.
During this match. Who are you guys rooting for?
I think in this one I would have been still cheering for Bret. Just because of, Yokozuna. Like as much as like if I'm thinking back to early teens me, I probably would have been like, Yokozuna has to go, blah blah blah. I think because you would say that he's already beaten Hogan back in '93 before Hogan left to go try to be a movie star. So that whole thing in my head, the whole continuity is like, there's no one that could be Yokozuna. If Hogan can't do it, then how is Bret gonna do it? Because like as Raymond said, they were giving us Bret as the champion. This would be the third time that he's gotten the opportunity to carry the federation as the man, being the main face to sell t-shirts, sell tickets, and what is it gonna stick this time? And I didn't think it was. I'm not sure about Raymond, but
I never liked Bret as a face. I mean, he was always the most entertaining when he was being like the evil Canadian heel. And yeah, I just didn't buy into him as champion. Kind of because who's champion before, like for a lengthy time? Was Hogan had the longest run before him, or was it Warrior?
Before him? No, it was Hogan. Hogan had the longest run.
So, I mean, going from Hogan to Bret, it just didn't. It looked like minor league to me. No, I mean, he's a great worker. Don't get me wrong, but
I mean, I think that's a good call on that, though. Even now, watching it, I agree with you. Having Bret with Yoko was kind of like a surprise for me. And I was like, oh, I'm surprised that we didn't, I don't want to say have like a bigger, I don't know how big his name was or how big he was in wrestling, but I'm surprised that they didn't have like a larger personality for this final match.
Yeah. He had no personality. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, the largest personality that they had was Hulk Hogan, and he had already left by now. So that would have probably been Macho Man, but Vince didn't want to have Macho Man go up against it because we've already committed all of these resources, quote unquote, into Bret and Lex. And
I mean, even in Lex, that match, like, I don't think he has a lot of finesse that I've seen so far. But I definitely agree. When I saw Bret, I was like, this is the last match. This is it. I was like very surprised. Like, was it a good match? Yeah. But was it like an amazing final match? What do you guys think?
No, I agree. Like, when this match is done and over, I'm like, even though it's over and then they get everyone out of the locker room, like all the, like, I guess notable faces to come out and celebrate Bret.
It looked fake.
Yeah,
that whole
it looked like
celebration.
Vince was like, hurry up and get out there. We have to sell this.
Well, especially in retrospect, when you realize like half those guys hated Bret. So it just seemed funny.
When you're talking about personalities like a Macho or who else, like an Ultimate, something like that. And then you're like, okay, sorry, Bret, like, because reading about him and his personality, he seems like quite a nice gentleman. But as far as like him being the person for this final WrestleMania, I'm like, okay, here we are.
And even then, like a lot of people that watch this don't even really remember this match. They remember the ladder match. That's the thing most people remember about 10. And maybe they remember Bret and Owen in the opener, but Bret beating Yoko is kind of like oh yeah, that happened too kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, because it would make you think about their matchup at WrestleMania 9.
That's right.
But you were like, no, he lost that one because that's when Hogan comes in with this
garbage
black guy, and then he gets Bret's blessing. He's like, yeah, I just lost him, but you can go ahead and wrestle him and beat him for the title. That's fine. You just go, and then Hogan gets his last run.
So
before he leaves.
That Hogan nonsense aside, is this the first Mania with back-to-back main events that were the same? I think so, right?
Yeah, I would have to say so. Yeah, I don't remember like where the card is the same, like the opponents and things like that. Yeah, it would have to be. Where I didn't even think about that. Like, even though we just did the WrestleMania 9 one like 3-4 days ago, I still couldn't even remember that. That's that's how that ended. And because the only thing that's sticking out is that I was upset that Hogan had won the title again.
Yeah.
even though he had lost the tag team titles, or he had lost that match to win the tag team titles with Brutus as the Mega Maniacs, and Vince couldn't they couldn't let that go, that because they had the same type of that's the one I was going to refer to earlier, that Jim Ross, when he was involved with that booking for WrestleMania 9, because he was the announcer.
Yeah.
He said that they needed a face to win because they're going to let the heel go off with the belt. And then they felt that that Lex Luger would have been the guy, but Lex was already facing Mr. Perfect.
Right.
And he was already a heel, so they needed to work on doing that transition. So, and meanwhile, they were like, well, we can't have Bret win because Bret's not a big name. And then it's funny because in WrestleMania 9, they're saying that he's not a big guy. He's not the big personality that could actually beat Yokozuna. But they're like, hey, here's WrestleMania 10. Yeah. He is the guy. He can do it, even though like he's super weak. He's selling the limp that he incurred earlier with Owen working that leg. And like I don't, not sure if you could actually like work that leg very well. Like Owen, it looked very violently the way he was pulling and tugging.
Yeah,
on Bret Hart,
like, on the post, he did that. He nailed it.
I'm like, I know that they're doing this safely because they've been probably doing this for the past 20 plus years that they've grown up together. But I'm like, some of that had to really hurt. But yeah, he's able to sell that limp, and Yokozuna's trying to get onto the attack, and we get that whole thing where Yokozuna kind of like loses because he loses his balance trying to do the bonsai drop, and then Bret pins him. What did you think about that?
The win?
Yeah, what did you think the way the match finishes?
I thought the finishing was just okay. Like, I wasn't too excited about it. We weren't all like chanting, cheering. I thought it was fine. What about you?
I think if you're gonna be giving Bret as the big personality, the big face to push the company forward, the way this finishes is not the way to do it.
Yeah,
because it's just like he only wins because Yokozuna for some reason loses his balance, and then for some reason he's like King Hippo. He can't get up once he falls down. And it's he pins him easily.
Yeah, which we know isn't accurate because that man can move. So
because I'm like, it needed something bigger. Like maybe Bret needed to be the second guy ever to be able to body slam Yokozuna. Like if they had a couple of spots, because he obviously couldn't.
Would you believe
the first
that?
time?
If
I wouldn't have believed
it's
it.
Definitely not believable to me.
Especially since he's selling that limp. But I think if it took him a couple of tries to do it, like when Hulk Hogan was trying to like body slam Andre in WrestleMania 3, and it took him a couple of tries to be able to do it before he finally actually does it, maybe I would actually believe that Bret was, like the strong personality, the big Zeus kind of wrestler that the company needed, that was going to be the guy for years to come. But
I mean, maybe like a personality, like a Yoko versus the Giant Gonzalez. Is that it?
Oh yeah, but Giant is already gone. They did not like.
I'm just saying, like somebody like tall and fierce, or
I mean, they would have been probably the Undertaker, which they do have a match like at a Survivor Series or something like that, don't they?
Him and Yoko? They had a few, yeah.
I was
Taker
like
liked working him.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm like, Yoko probably gonna grab him and like kind of tossed him around if he wanted to. So the win wasn't that believable for me.
Yeah, and this is WrestleMania where we didn't get the Undertaker.
No Undertaker? Was he hurt or something? I don't know.
I believe he was.
How about Diesel only came out to the ring with Shawn? Was he hurt too?
I did not pay attention to that because
we saw a few people at the end that weren't part of the any matches.
Well, sometimes they do that a lot, so everyone can get their WrestleMania paycheck and say they earn it, because that's probably their biggest check of the year.
I mean,
during that time it was all probably based on ticket sales and where you were like
Yeah,
how high or low on
Tatanka
the
was
card
not
you were.
selling his own shirts at the time.
Right. Like in house, I think there were over 18,000 fans, and then pay-per-views, pay-per-views. I don't know why I'm saying that weird.
Pay-per-views.
There were like over 420,000 buys for this one, which was down from the
Wow.
previous year. I think it was like maybe 1.6 to 2. So,
Yeah.
yep, a little down from the previous year.
So yeah, they did have a casket match, but that was Survivor Series 1994 when Undertaker comes back. So
So favorite matches. It's that time, y'all. Raymond,
Definitely the ladder match for me.
what were your favorite matches out of this total WrestleMania?
So you just you have a favorite match is the ladder match and nothing else?
The opener was really good with Bret and Owen.
But that's just a match you would recommend, but it's not your favorite match, right?
No, the
opening
ladder's
match?
ladder's my favorite for sure. I think it was groundbreaking at the time and really set. I think it set up the Attitude Era.
Do you?
Yeah, because it showed. I mean, Shawn and Razor were such a big part of getting it there to that point. I mean, Razor and Diesel would go on to the other side, but that really spurred the competition.
I do have a question. Do you think Shawn and who did you just mention? I'm blanking right now.
Diesel?
Do you think they could have pulled off the final match?
The
for this
ladder match?
WrestleMania? No, like a final match.
Like, so you want Diesel versus Yokozuna? Is that what you're talking
That's
about?
what I was thinking. I think, but I don't remember if Diesel how big he was at the time. Yeah, I don't remember.
I think he had just come in,
Oh.
and he hadn't been there for a while.
Okay, sorry.
So I mean, at this point, that's why he's attached to Shawn, because
Right.
Shawn is supposed to like guide him, and the whole buildup is that eventually Shawn abuses Diesel, and then Diesel's had enough. Kind of like the whole $1 Million Man thing, where he had Virgil,
Yes,
and $1 Million Man was paying Virgil to do menial things, and then Virgil's had enough.
So you said the ladder match, and then is that your favorite?
That's his only favorite match.
Do you have any other that you recommend people watch?
definitely the opener with Owen and Bret.
Okay.
What about you?
Me?
Yeah.
My favorite matches is the Owen and versus Bret, and also the ladder match for these two, HBK and Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I mean, definitely my favorite from this WrestleMania 10, was definitely the ladder match. So if you're revisiting these WrestleManias with us, I definitely recommend that you watch that one. I did like the first match, like you mentioned, the Rocket, Owen Hart or the Blue Blazer defeated Bret the Hitman Hart in that singles match. The Bambambigelow with lunavachon.
Okay.
I know y'all didn't really care for that one, and thought it was beneath them, but I did like that one. My introduction to Dink, with Doink, and who thought I'd say that? I really don't care for clowns. Also, Menonamission, Mabel and Mo, with Oscar and those Quebecers, Jacques and Pierre. That was another favorite that I would recommend people watch. And then let's not forget Razor Ramon, like we were saying, with Shawn Michaels and that ladder match, because that shit was awesome. That's what I got.
Okay, so you got 4 favorite matches out of this.
I do.
Is that? I think that ties with another one that you had here.
Probably the previous one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
WrestleMania 9.
With this WrestleMania rewatch here, like there are a few like episodes, like a few matches or WrestleManias that probably stick out so far for you. But like, what's like the first thing that if you had to summarize the first 10 WrestleManias, like,
that's interesting.
that you would say, we'll go with top 5, like the top 5 out of these past 10 WrestleManias that you can remember. I know I'm just bringing this up. I didn't even discuss it with you or her, but I just we're vamping or going back and forth in here, and I was like, let me see if she can come up with something off the top of her head of what the top 5 ones are.
I mean, can I say specifically? But I will say that some of my favorite wrestlers have been matches with um Randy,
Mm-hmm.
Macho Man. I really enjoy any of those matches that he's been in. Also, any matches with Roddy. So I was sad that we didn't get to see him wrestle in this one. He's
Mm-hmm.
been one of my favorites over these last 10 WrestleManias. And then any matches with who's my other favorite? What is it? Tony? Not Tony.
The model or
Martel? No.
Rick
Greg Valentine.
Greg Valentine. And Tito.
Oh, Tito. Yeah, Tito. He was relegated to dark match on WrestleMania 9, and he didn't make the cut for WrestleMania 10.
Yeah, so those have been some of my favorites as we've been watching.
Okay.
So yeah. As we're losing some of these wrestlers coming into 10, I'm like, well, I wish we could see more of them.
Yeah, well, some of them have been wrestling for a while before Vince got a hold of them. So
Right.
Eventually time catches up with everybody's bodies. So I think for me, if I'm looking back at the past 10 WrestleManias, I think 5 matches that would, like, I guess, be the ones that would kind of say shaped WrestleMania for the first 10 years would be the Hogan versus Andre match, the Ric Flair versus Macho Man match,
Oh, yeah.
the Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior. I guess you could say that. One was just because we learned the lesson not to have 2 faces going against each other, like booking wise. The other one I would say here, this the ladder match that we just seen here, and then I think that's my 4th one. And there's one more. And it's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of it. Oh, the Macho Man versus Ricky the Dragon.
Yeah, I'd go with a lot of the same. I mean, from a moment for a spectacle, definitely Hogan and Andre from 3. Hogan and Warrior was also a pretty big spectacle, but from work rate, I'd put this ladder match up there. Macho and Flair also, but especially Macho and Steamboat, I think, is one of the best matches ever.
That's right.
Yeah, I'd go with those 5.
Okay. We're winding down here. As always, don't forget to hit the subscribe on our YouTube page and the bell for notifications. Don't forget to sign up for our Facebook group here, Revisiting Mania, Revisiting the Mania Facebook. Raymond, thank you very much for joining us here for our WrestleMania 10 rewatch. Do you have anything else to plug for yourself?
I'm giving away 3 codes for a Nintendo Switch shooter in a contest that's ending Friday. So check out the Facebook page Arpad TV Official to find out how you can enter for a chance to win one of these codes. It's a fun shooter called Counterattack Uprising. So check that out.
I've seen this game from when I watched. I believe you put this on the Ahsoka season 1.
That's right.
Recap.
That's
you did with your friend Paul Simmel and your Arpad TV YouTube channel, and I believe it's a great side-scrolling shooter. It reminds me of like those ones that we used to play, Graduates, and there was a R-Type.
Yeah. So, although pretty extreme. I look at him like I
they try to make those not playable for older people. Yeah, because it's like it's about like if you're gonna have those side scrolling type of games, like Cuphead and like this one that Ray's giving away, they try to make it more challenging for other people. So they're like, how can we make this harder? Let's make it go faster. Let's have more enemies on the screen. Let's
more bullets.
Yeah, everything flying at you. So
it crosses the line from challenging to punishing, and Some gamers like that.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I
Give
do
me
not.
more.
Yeah, especially those gamers that like to do the fast runs. They're like, well,
Yeah.
how quickly can I get through the game? And then,
Wow.
so
Ooh,
it
okay.
sounds like fun, and they can find this at your YouTube channel.
YouTube, RPAD TV at our RPAD Video is the YouTube.
Mhm.
RPAD TV official is the Facebook.
Yeah. And do you have any other live streams coming up?
I do with my other podcast, The Beer Pad, with my excellent friend Marcus Beer. We're going to talk about the 10 best graphic novels that are not set in the DC or Marvel universe.
Oh, okay.
Got
Can't
some
wait to
interesting
watch.
picks.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't wait to see. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching us today.
Yeah, if you haven't.
If you haven't, like I said, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or sign up to subscribe. Give us a like on our Facebook page at Revisiting the Mania. Believe I will be working on getting this audio version uploaded to all the major podcast networks by Wednesday.
Yeah. And I do have a final, as Bret Hart surprise says, in this business, there are no guarantees, only opportunities. So if you haven't had the chance, be sure to subscribe to this lovely podcast.
All right. Thank you and have a great night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.